इससे पहले कि आप बाकी क्लिप देखो बॉस, प्रेस द सब्सक्राइब बटन, प्रेस द बेल आइकॉन, बिकॉज हम यहाँ पे हमारी कॉन्वर्सेशंस के सबसे इंटरेस्टिंग, पावरफुल, फनी और यूनिक मोमेंट्स यहाँ शेयर करते हैं. PGX clips. Press subscribe, press bell icon. Is there something that a robot's done that's kind of surprised you, that it has that ability? I know you came into the company only in 2021, 2022, something around that time, right? And so when you were first exposed to robotics, and I'm pretty sure you're exposed to deeper stuff than what I see here or inside, is there something that surprises you with what ability we could harness with robots?
Yeah, you're right. We keep the sentient robots in the basement, but
Because that's where they should be.
no. Look, I think I understand. I understand the question.
Right.
One of the most beautiful things that I've certainly seen our robots do most recently is we were on America's Got Talent, which is a TV show in the United States where people show off crazy talents, and we were invited with our robots. So we danced on the show with 7 of our robots. And that was sort of a magical moment because it really exposed 20 million American viewers to robots in a way that is lighthearted and fun. And we do those things because we want to bring the general public along. We realize that not everybody loves robots the way that we do. So we do these dances and public appearances to sort of showcase robotics in the most positive way. And if you ask me personally, yes, you're right. I've been here about 5 years helping with our commercialization journey. And to me, the robots are as magical today as they were when I first started. So when you walk through our office and you see the robots walking around, it is still a magical experience on a daily basis.
Oh. Yeah, it kind of begs the question because I feel like the general public has to be acclimatized to robots being around them. And that's a major sort of physical barrier because even with the cars that self-drive themselves on the road, people have gotten pretty used to them, but at first there was a lot of shock to it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm sure if I'm sitting in the back of one of those, in the back of my head, it's still worried that this taxi, you know what I mean? There has to be a lot of trust deficit issues that you'll have to solve in the journey of what you're doing.
Yeah.
Am I right about that?
For sure. And many of our customers, we have a couple of thousand customers that have Spot robots today in industrial environments, and it takes some time, right? There is a change that needs to happen in the organization. A good example is our customer BMW drove the robot through the cafeteria at noon for a period of 6 weeks so that everybody could ask questions, everybody could take a selfie with the robot. And then once they realized that people were stopped taking selfies, then they knew, okay, now it's time to actually deploy the robot in an operational environment. So I think you got to bring the associates along and you got to tell them what the robot does and what the robot doesn't do.
From an industrial standpoint, I kind of understand sort of the capabilities you have. I saw some of them and you're free to tell me more about them. But I want to understand also from just like a general purpose standpoint, what is already possible with robots and robotics?
Yeah,
Where
I think that's a fantastic question because there's a lot of hype in the media at the moment, and you see a lot of videos out there on YouTube about robots doing crazy stunts, and it sort of creates the impression that the robots can do more than they can do today. So that the state of the art is that robots can autonomously live in factories. You have wheeled robots, AMRs that live in factories. You have, of course, self-driving cars like Waymos that live in the real world and drive around. And we have our Spot robot that autonomously lives in lots of factories, lives with humans in those factories, can avoid obstacles, can avoid humans, can avoid different and changing situations. And I think that's an innovation that is probably only 3 years old, that it's easy to maintain autonomy in a known environment. It's very hard to maintain autonomy in an ever-changing, unstructured environment.
Say more about that. Like, help me understand what that means for an amateur.
Yeah. So you've seen robots in logistics facilities and warehouses that are on wheels, but many of them in the beginning phases drove on predefined routes. And those routes sometimes had induction coils in the ground so that the robot would follow a specific path. And if something changed, for example, if there was a forklift in the way, the robot would have to stop because the robot didn't know what to do in that situation. And today, our robots can, in fact, understand changing environments. So the robots create a map of their environment that they live in. And then if there's a forklift in the way, or there's a pallet on the ground, or there is a garbage can that wasn't there yesterday, the robot can look at its internal map and say, okay, I know I need to get to the other side of the warehouse, but all of a sudden there's a forklift here in the way. How else can I get there? And then the robot finds an alternative route. So that's an example of how these robots can live in quasi-unstructured environment where stuff can change on the robot and the robot can still navigate that environment.
Got it. And so the robot is mapping and computing its environment constantly, and it's doing it in a environment that might not be the same as it was the last moment, and so it has to account for dynamically and then figure out its movements. And largely it works on vision. I'm sure there's perception as a problem in the whole thing. I'm sure there is also dexterity as a problem in the whole thing. अगर आप हमारी इन विचित्र अचित्र कहानियों का और किस्सों का और बातों का हिस्सा बनना चाहते हैं तो आपको यहाँ पे PGX Clips चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि यहाँ हम पोस्ट करते हैं हमारी कॉन्वर्सेशन के बेस्ट, मोस्ट इंटरेस्टिंग, मोस्ट वाइल्ड, मोस्ट इंटेलेक्चुअली रेजोनेटिंग मोमेंट्स. So press the bell icon, press the subscribe button, spend some time with us.